Shall I start and Sachin?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Pooja Gupta, Marketing Manager at Impact QA, and I would like to thank you all for joining us today. Before we begin, here are a few quick housekeeping comments. This session is being recorded, and the recording will be shared after the webinar to all the attendees and absentees as well. To ensure a smooth experience, all attendee microphones and cameras are switched off. We will be launching a few live polls during the session, and so we encourage you all to participate and share your feedbacks. If you have any questions, please submit them using Q&A panel. We will address them during Q&A session at the end. Moving towards today's webinar, the $100 million SAP Transformation Initiative, how leading enterprises are de-risking S4HANA initiatives with AI-powered testing. We are delighted to have you join us. Today, together with our partner Panaya, we will explore how AI-powered testing, intelligent impact analysis, and modern quality engineering are helping enterprises accelerate SAP transformations while reducing business risk and improving release confidence. Now, on panel today, we have Sachin Sangle, SAP Practice Head at Impact QA, and Todd Derrick, VP of Customer Success at Panaya. Stage is all yours, Todd and Sachin.
Thank you so much, Pooja, for quick introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. And thank you for so much. My name is Sachin Sangle. I'm VP of Engineering Delivery at Impact QA, and I'm joined today with our partner from Panaya. So over the next hour, we are going to talk about something every SAP program sponsor loses sleep over. How do you move to S4HANA on time or on budget without breaking the business processes that keep your company running? Normally, these are often 50 million or 100 million, sometimes larger transformation initiatives. It's a quite huge risk, and testing where that risk is either contained or realized. So in today's session, we are our partner. Today's session is the partnership session. I'll set the stage on the testing challenges, and we'll see across the testing challenges across S4HANA program, share how Impact QA builds engineer test strategies to address them, and then hand over to the Stuart from Panaya team, who will show us then their platform live, different features, and how new ways of testing have been happening with Panaya. After the demo, we'll come back together for a joint discussion and open it up for your questions. Okay. So moving on, every S4 implementation journey we get engaged into, it either falls into three categories. One is your greenfield, another one is your brownfield, or the third one is your bluefield. And each one of these creates different testing problems. Now, and how do we, and I'll quickly touch base on some of the key problems which we see in each one of these engagements. In greenfield engagement, these are basically your fresh implementations built on new systems, completely standardized processes, minimal customization or no customization. The testing challenge in this space is basically there is no baseline. Teams are defining everything from the scratch. The scope is coming from the blank page. Your business processes validation has no historical reference points. You do have some historical reference point in terms of your existing ERPs or old ERPs, but those are not really compared to S4. And because everything is new here, there's a real risk of trying to test everything with equal intensity, which blows out your testing timeline and time frame. The next one is our brownfield. In this transformation, it's a system conversion, moving an existing SSA landscape to S4 while retaining custom code and existing processes where the custom codes are important for the client. They try normally go for the brownfield implementation. But here, the real challenge is the volume and the risk of regression. There are existing thousands of test cases available with client. From the custom code and from the different interfaces, all that need to be revalidated. Data migration has to be proven that each and every conversion has done correctly. Windows are very tight in this specific case. So there's very little room for surprises. The third one is blue field, which is a mixture of both a selective or hybrid transition, part re-platform or part conversion. This is often the hardest to test because teams have to run two testing philosophies here at once. One is your rigorous regression, what you have done in kind of brownfield, what's being retained, and the full new process validation on what's being re-engineered and keep both in sync. Regardless of which path an organization is on, the pressure is the same. You have limited testing windows, you have compressed release timelines, and constant pressure to minimize business disruption. And most of the time, it comes to a testing phase where we need to. There are a lot of previous stages have been impacted, and that bottleneck comes on the testing timelines. And when traditional testing approaches meet that pressure, we consistently see the same three outcomes that you're not able to do the complete coverage. It's an incomplete coverage. Business process has gaps. There are manual bottlenecks. You're running your test cases slow due to the manual execution. There are error-prone cycles that delay the releases. And last one is your high go-live risk, defects found at the late. That is most important, and that's most kind of impacts your timelines and excessive regression efforts to compensate. So why testing is so critical in all these phases? So there are three reasons. First, every SAP change is interconnected. As it's an ERP system, every change goes through different work stream or modules, order to cash or procure to pay or warehouse management, and it has interlinked ripple impact. If something fails, it's going to impact in every other module as well. So, say it basically impacts all entire life cycle. So second one is your business users are already stretched thin. They are doing their day-to-day job, and your UAT adds a huge additional burden on top of their day-to-day job. Without a structured support, that's exactly where defect slips through. And third one is this mindset of shift we push our clients towards. Testing isn't a project phase activity anymore. It's a continuous business assurance function that has no that has to run across every release cycle, not just at the go live. Most importantly, your business user alignment on UAT cycles or their release readiness is very important in such cases. So now let's see how Impact QA holistically tries to address these challenges. So how do we engineer a test strategy that actually holds up against the reality, against all these problem statement what I have mentioned so far? At Impact QA, we structure every SAP engagement around four interconnected pillars, not sequential phases, but capabilities that run in parallel from strategy through the hypercare. Now, based on the three different types of implementation, our test strategy will differ, but the core pillar will remain same. The first pillar is our test management and governance, where we define the test strategy based on your implementation approach, risk-based prioritization, requirement traceability, ensuring that all your L1 to L5, L5 level or L6 level business process has test cases attached to it. Your defect governance or visibility of your dashboard to different levels of stakeholders. There are different levels of stakeholders in your engagement. So each level of stakeholder needs to see a different dashboard. So all that governance process, that is a core basic pillar what we build first. The second one is your test automation, or the second one is your test optimization. Basically rationalizing all your legacy test suites, performing the risk-based regression selection, using, and we'll touch base on that probably to we'll talk about more on those in upcoming timeline. But and then business process coverage mapping to eliminate the redundancy. Third one is your automation and performance. How do you ensure that your SAP GUI, Fiori, web, or API testing wired into a DevOps pipeline with accelerated regression cycles and release readiness? How do you ensure your application is game day ready with your performance engineering? So for critical business processes, heavy read-write transactions of your performance testing. The last pillar is most important. Then that's where we see a lot of challenges. That is your business assurance, business process validation, your UAT support, ensuring your UAT users are aligned with the expectation, release timelines, production readiness assessment, giving them the confidence that the system which we are handing over to them is foolproof and have a thoroughly tested system, and compliance and hypercare validation for after go live. This is deliberately holistic because greenfield, brownfield, or bluefield programs will learn on these four pillars differently. But as I mentioned, all four are always in play. Now, let's see how Impact QA and Panaya work together. This is where Panaya comes in play. Panaya brings an intelligent change impact analysis, test management visibility, and manual to automated test acceleration purpose fit built for SAP transformation. Our role at Impact QA is to operationalize that platform inside the customer's actual SAP delivery model. They might be following any type of delivery model. So we operationalize Panaya's platform into the customer delivery model, bringing our domain expertise from SAP modules, our quality engineering best practices, and a relentless focus on business continuity, not just on the automation metrics or the standard numbers. Together, this combination reduces testing efforts, increases the business coverage, improves release confidence, accelerates your transformation timelines, delivered as a unified capability, not two different vendors bolted in together. And I would like to request Stuart to add a couple of points here.
Thank you, Sachin. Just briefly, I would like to compare the relationship between Impact QA and Panaya to, let's say, a Formula One race car team. So you can have the best car in the world, but without a really good driver, you're not going to win the race. It's as simple as that. And Panaya is really a tool, right? We do sell direct, but where our customers see a lot of benefit, especially in complex SAP transformations, is when they're partnering with an SI who has that SAP and that QA domain expertise. So they're the race car driver, and they're using a tool that is best of breed. We've won leadership awards over the past 5 years, and G2.com and highly regarded by many analysts, and hundreds of customers across the globe. But we also have dozens and dozens of partners that are leveraging this tool to accelerate and de-risk your most mission critical initiatives. And so it's really it's a very effective partnership. And again, I'm not going to talk much about Panaya because you'll see it live in the demo shortly.
Thank you, Stuart. So one more capability I want to highlight specifically here, the migration of your existing test assets. As I was explaining that you might be having a lot of thousands of test cases and introducing a new platform sometimes gets a hiccup that how do I introduce a new platform now? And that's where we as SI partner, we help you. Most enterprises we talk to already have years of investment sitting in test cases, automation scripts, defects, and requirements. Often either in Excel, LM, or Jira, or any other test management tool. We assess those legacy assets, and then we build a custom migration accelerator that move the test cases, steps, defects, requirements mapping, and execution history to Panaya with minimal manual effort. That means customers preserve years of institutional testing knowledge, what they have captured so far. They keep that knowledge. And then they go live on Panaya faster with full historical context intact. So they see ROI immediately instead of starting from zero or scratch.
Just to add to that, Sachin, Panaya has customers that have migrated thousands of their test assets into the platform. Whether they're, as you mentioned, whether they're Excel, whether they're other formats. We have out-of-the-box migration capabilities, as well as the expertise of Impact QA to take maybe complex binary structures and to move them into a format that we can easily consume. So somebody asked in the chat, in the question area about brownfield, right? But every customer has hundreds, thousands of existing test assets. There is no company that goes live without some type of testing and validation. And so Panaya excels at that. And with partner expertise, we can basically give you 100% migration coverage.
Yeah. So for example, the same thing you mentioned, right? This was the exact example, which is wherein brownfield has thousands of existing assets. And there are recent examples wherein we were able to help them to move over to Panaya. So yes. Okay. Now let's put simply when organizations engage with Impact QA or Panaya together, they can expect measurably improvement across three dimensions. First one is your testing efficiency. Second one is your release velocity, faster releases, and transformation confidence. Now let's ask yourself, as you're listening today, what would it even a 20 or 30%, minimum 20 or 30% improvement in any one of these three mean for your own release calendar this year? It will be a huge impact. With this, now let me hand it over to Stuart, and probably he'll take it us from here for a quick short demo. How do we ensure this three-dimension effectiveness? Go ahead, Stuart.
So thank you, Sachin. So hi, everybody. My name is Stuart Bierig. I have been an employee at Panaya for over 10 years. I celebrated my 10-year anniversary just last month. I've been involved with our customer success team, pre-sales, working with product, R&D, et cetera. Very happy to be here today. Very happy that you joined to take this webinar journey with us. And I only have a few slides, and most of my contribution will be a live demo talking about features, functionality, and value propositions of the Panaya platform. And then Sachin, in turn, will add color in terms of how Impact QA can add value into our product set. What we are going to focus on are common challenges that our customers face on a regular basis. I will throw in at least 5 different use cases. I will not mention the names of these customers, but they're all global billion-dollar companies. And we'll talk about how Panaya was able to help them, again, accelerate and de-risk some of the riskiest initiatives that they are responsible for delivering successfully. So let's go ahead. I do believe that now is the time for our second poll. And so Pooja is going to go ahead and post that out for everybody. And I do appreciate if everyone can answer honestly, because the results, I'm actually looking at the results, and they will help channel areas of my demo. I can demo forever like a river, and we have a lot of amazing capabilities. But I would like to focus on areas that would resonate most with the audience today, and I can go in many different directions. So please be open and honest with the poll results. Thank you. So just looking, we see most of the people attending are testing related, okay, QA management, and not necessarily application development. So just again, I am going to talk about how we provide risk reduction and how we auto-correlate to risk, but I will spend more time talking about test authoring, whether it's manual or automated tests, just to better appeal to the audience today. So thank you very much. I think we have 2 more polls before the demo, but let's move ahead. We talk about AI a lot. We talk about social, mobile, internet. Just 20 years ago, for people using SAP, life just went into a fast lane, and it's going even faster now. And business drivers are forcing companies to innovate faster than ever before. Whether it's changing interfaces, rolling out new features, mergers and acquisitions, key patching, et cetera, moving from an older, thick client SAP GUI interface to the more modern Fiori environment. These are all changes, and any change and any innovation, again, whether it's the smallest business change, add a field to calculate some tax, if I'm now able to sell European-based goods in the United States, to a major change, which is I'm going from SAP ECC to SAP S/4HANA, or I'm going from a on-prem version to the public cloud version. These are all major transformations, and they all require testing, and they all require validation. And for a brownfield conversion, we're going to validate that everything is working as is with a minimal amount of customization. With the greenfield conversion, the need for UAT and manual testing to validate processes is even greater, because most of the functionality is being built from scratch, from the ground up, using the, let's say, Fiori and S/4HANA platform as a catalyst for business process transformation. And there is a minimum amount of code that may be lifted and shifted over, still requires validation, but it's not as acute as a brand new process with a brand new interface. The same thing with the Bluefield conversion. Bluefield does focus on data. It's critical to validate that data is showing correctly, especially if you're doing a landscape consolidation where maybe people are looking at customers and sub companies, different org structures very differently in the S/4HANA environment than they were used to in their ECC environment. So again, more testing, more validation, and that's why better tools are critical. We've seen anecdotally that testers that use better testing tools do a better job, okay? They don't just skip it and say everything looks okay. They actually will run the test, especially with Panaya, because we do all the hard work for testers, both manual and automated, which you will see shortly. Now, I like this slide a lot, not because my daughters love the movie Titanic, but because it really showcases a lot of the hidden risks with testing. We have some customers that have, like I mentioned before, they migrated thousands of tests, but without the right governance, without the right controls, they're not sure that, number one, they're using the right tests because there may be copies that have changed over time, or the tests are covering real risk. So we want to optimize and minimize the scope of a test cycle, especially for a business-driven change, to not have to run all my UAT in a business area, to not even have to run all my regression tests, even if they're automated. We have customers that are using other tools that are saying that even executing automated tests is expensive for them. So again, not testing the right things, not running the right tests is a real risk of not identifying issues early in an SDLC process. Similarly, there might be too much testing or not enough testing. So we identify gaps in test coverage seamlessly. We correlate instantly test assets to technical risk. So we will tell you exactly the bare minimum of what needs to be tested, and we can remove extraneous tests from your tactical UAT test cycles. And the same thing with duplication and defect inflation, right? It's very frustrating when a user will run a test and run into a defect that was logged earlier, where here defect and QA managers can easily flag a defect and link it to other similar tests, so that when I try to run that test, I'll get a little dialog that says, you know what, if you're going to run this test, don't choose option A. It's going to lead to a defect, so choose option B instead, or just block the test from being run completely. So these are the real challenges. So on paper, everything looks really good. Now, we have customers that have claimed that they have 99% automated test coverage, and then when they bring in Panaya, they realize that it's closer to 50, in one case even down to 35. And just because you're exporting and bringing in all of your test cases doesn't mean you have adequate test coverage. So again, it's a very, very powerful tool that's going to save you time, and it's going to ensure that your tests are focused on the things that matter. We've seen, going back to the previous slide of the need for more testing, we've seen customers reach these critical junctures in their ERP journeys, whether, again, they're moving to a public cloud solution, where they're moving to S/4HANA, where they realize that their existing test tools, no matter how mature they are, will not scale because of the sheer volume of UAT and the sheer volume of automated tests that need to be run. And many of them have evaluated Panaya and are now happy strategic customers of ours. One last story is going back to risk. We have one large pharmaceutical customer that's not using us for manual testing because their existing tool is highly integrated with a lot of regulatory and compliance processes. But every few months, they will export all of their test assets into Panaya and correlate it to either transport risk or planned upgrade risk, just to ensure that they have 100% coverage in their manual testing efforts. And it's done with near zero effort. And those are the really cool features that Panaya brings to the table. So again, these are challenges that if you don't have the right tools, it's forcing companies to find a better way. And because of the speed of business, which is accelerating day over day, the need for better tools becomes even more important. So here's some key differentiating value that I'm going to be showcasing in the upcoming demo. First and foremost, Panaya offers a unified SaaS platform for the management, execution, and monitoring of both manual and automated tests. We also integrate defect and requirements management. So Sachin earlier talked about business assurance, requirements traceability. It's done very easily within our platform, and we tightly integrate with other tools. So your change requests may be coming from ServiceNow, they may be coming from Jira, or even Charm or Calm, and we could just easily have them pushed into Panaya for that business assurance if necessary. You'll see how easy it is to run manual tests. You're going to see how easy it is to build automated tests. More importantly, because as Sachin mentioned, UAT is a critical early step in all of these large S4HANA initiatives. UAT plays a paramount role within an earlier stage of your process. And only once the features that have been validated have stood the test of time, let's say they pass through the hypercare process, then you want to migrate them over and automate them in regression. But the question is how? Do I need to re-script from scratch? Do I need to build an automated test from scratch? Or with a few mouse clicks, you could just instantly convert a recorded manual test in Panaya to a fully functional automated test. And last, we talked about seamless correlation to technical risk. So again, if you're about to deploy a transport, we will show you all the impacted entry points. We will show you what are the highly recommended tests that you need to run. We'll show you gaps in your test coverage, and we'll even show you tests that are unnecessary that you can remove from your, let's say, UAT cycle, because they're not relevant to the impacted areas of this initiative. Okay, so we're about to start on the demo, but before that, I believe we have a few more polls. So I see we're already going to the third and fourth poll. So I see that majority of the people have both manual and automated testing. So again, I will be sure to focus on both manual and automated testing today. And lastly, the last poll is, if AI can solve one SAP challenge, or testing challenge, I should say, what would you choose? So I'll just give it a few seconds for everybody to reply. Okay, faster. Okay, speed. Seems like the theme for today. All right, self-healing. Okay, I'll show you that as well. And release confidence, we could show you too. All right, so let me stop sharing the PowerPoint asset and share my screen. Pooja, please confirm that you can see my browser.
Once it's not coming, start.
Okay, let's try it again.
Yeah,
Should be seeing it.
thank
Okay.
you.
You can see it now.
So thank you. So as we mentioned, Panaya is a SaaS platform. It could be deployed in customers in a matter of minutes. And everything we do in Panaya has the same look and feel, same interface. And whether you're creating testing projects or risk analysis projects across SAP, Oracle, and Salesforce, we're all going to look the same. The great thing about Panaya is each individual project has very granular access control. So for example, if you're engaged with Impact QA to help you build a library of reusable test components, right? Your QA team may have manager access or even administrative access within the test library project. But as your testing teams will be bringing in the tests that have been created jointly between you and Impact QA into tactical projects, they may not even have access to these projects at all. So who sees what and what roles you have in every project is completely up to you. Again, very atomic, very granular access control. Let's go ahead and dive into a specific project. Now, every area in Panaya is supported by what I call real-time and actionable dashboards. And they're very easy to build. They're all codeless with a library of 15 or more different widgets that requires no coding at all. The nice thing about Panaya is whether you're dealing with defects, whether you're dealing with tests, whether you're dealing with requirements, work streams, corrections, etc., they all can be surfaced in a dashboard that will highlight the metrics that matter to you the most. And you can see here, I can see tests, multiple steps within tests, and everything is actionable. In this case, I have two open defects. One is critical, one is high priority, one is medium. Again, everything is linked and I can click. You'll notice that I have 7 business days left till I go live. And there is a critical test backlog of 7 tests that are high priority that have not passed, okay? You'll notice here, I just refresh because I'm an engineer and I just don't like when things aren't perfect. I'll just refresh my dashboard just to show you that that widget on the bottom left actually will show you a spider chart of many different risk factors, okay, that you can potentially support in your project. And I just selected a few. But again, how you build your dashboards and how you share them are completely up to you. So let's take a closer look at that critical backlog of tests. I'll click on the metric. And again, it takes me to a filtered view that's dynamic that'll show me that I have, of those 11, 9 are automated and 2 are manual. Now, we talked earlier about speed, and that seemed to be one of your most critical needs for AI. Now, Panaya, if I have the right authorizations, let's say I'm a QA manager, I can actually highlight all of the automated tests and I can just queue them for execution directly in our platform. And since I'm a QA manager, I could also look at the 2 manual tests and I could just send a broadcast, which will send an email as well as add to the know what, let's put it in if we have time. We'll call it IQA. We need to run ... We need to run these tests immediately because we have very few days left for go live. I could also edit them and reassign them to other testers, but we're going to do that manually so you get an idea of what a manual test looks like. But you'll notice on my top of my screen that there's these little numbers here. That indicates in this case that I, Stuart, have 2 defects assigned to me. I have no test currently assigned to me. So again, the test manager is going to look at this test. And again, you'll see that all entities, both manual and automated tests, all have a tab and field interface. You can add custom tabs, custom fields. You can add custom fields to standard tabs, etc. And most entities share similar tabs such as attachments, comments. Again, you'll see here, here's the comment that I just added. An email was also sent to the key stakeholders. Manual tests will show different steps. Okay, I can have one-to-many steps. Some SAP best practice can have dozens of steps. In this case, you can see that it's partially complete. You'll notice that this test says ready to test, and that's important because we don't want to run a test for, let's say, if there's a live defect or a correction that hasn't been completed, etc. And I'll show you an example of that very shortly. In the case of using our compliance package, a test would not be ready until it's signed off by the appropriate parties. We support one-to-many. In this case, the first test was marked as passed, and I can actually see the auto-generated test evidence in this manual test. If I look at the viewer, you'll see that we auto-capture all the steps that occurred on the right side. In the case of SAP GUI, we're capturing before and after screens, and you'll notice results that come good and bad as necessary. We also auto-capture the results. By the way, this evidence can be exported to PDF or into Word or PDF format for training, for audit purposes. It's high quality, audit quality, auto-generated evidence. And in this case, you can see that Panaya automatically added the purchase number. And for me, that's important because I'm not Harvey, I'm Stuart. Harvey is on vacation. So the QA manager is about to assign it to me. And by saving, you'll see that my test now is up to 1. And another email is being sent into my inbox that says that now a new test has been assigned to me. Okay. Again, I can go back to the previous step. I could look at all of the requirements. I could look at the evidence. I can get what I need. I could look at now this new test that I now have to do. And I can look at all the details that the QA manager built for me. Again, you can see it's just very high level. There is a test script that I can follow if I print it out. It shows, again, all the details. And this is on a step level. I know exactly what needs to be run. I have to run this T code. I'm going to launch what's called the Panaya Test Recorder. This is a browser extension that would be installed in your browsers. We actually have an AI-powered one that also has an option to record videos, okay? And that's going to be added into this recorder very shortly. But now I have options to do web browser, SAP GUI, other desktop applications, etc. For manual testing, we support all applications and all interfaces. It's important to understand that for test automation, we support SAP GUI and web. We don't support other thick client applications at this time. You'll notice, because I chose SAP GUI, it launched my GUI screen. This blinking red indicator shows that I'm recording. Now, I'm going to pause in the middle just to talk through a defect logging, but I was asked to launch this T code. And let me just double click on it. There we go. I'm going to paste in that purchase order number that was from the previous tester. I need to click here. I need to add a storage location. I'll hit enter. I'll click on everything looks okay. I have a little latency here. My apologies. There we go. And I'm going to hit the save button. You'll notice on the bottom left of my screen, a material document number was generated. Now, if I would log a defect, it would automatically take a screenshot of where I am. It will also take all the steps I took and save it as steps to reproduce. So the IT team doesn't have to call the user and say, well, it works for me. I don't know what you did to get that defect. So that significantly accelerates your defect resolution processes. Okay, it's effortless from the tester and it's effortless from IT. Notice that that value was captured automatically by Panaya. And I'm going to add some optional tests. We can hit save. If we go back to the Panaya interface, again, my hands are in the air, you'll see that Panaya will automatically update this test. The second step was passed, the entire, because it's 2 out of 2, the entire step is passed. So no other person is receiving an email. And if I look at the evidence that was auto-generated, now I, as a manual tester, did not write anything down. I did not take any screenshots. I did not do any of the things that I need to do if I'm using Word or Excel or some other products that require manual, files to be binary files to be uploaded. And again, you can see in the evidence, this is exactly what my experience was. Again, audit quality can be exported to Word or Excel. So let's say my project in UAT was completed. Let's take a brief pause and look at Panaya from a testing management capability, and then we'll talk about automated tests. Now, we have something called a test tree. Every project can have multiple cycles. In my demo environment, I have auto-generated cycles that were built by our impact analysis, which is out of scope of today. In this case, they're ordered by SAP module. I have a library of UAT that I imported from Excel files, okay? I can also import from that test catalog project that the Impact QA team is managing for me. And I also have a library of manual SAP best practices based on different versions, and I could choose what business areas I want to bring in, all imported with a few mouse clicks, whether it's your existing assets or whether it's other best practice assets as well. Again, I have both manual and automated tests all managed in the same place. In this case, this was the test that I just ran. Notice it's marked as green. You'll see others are marked as gray. They haven't completed. They haven't started yet. Yellow is in process. Red means it marked as failed. It probably has a defect linked to it, and others as well. Now, the nice thing about Panaya is that on not only on a dashboard level, but on a cycle level, I have real-time actionable insights. Okay. I also have on the folder and subfolder. So how you segment your tests, whether it's by testing team, by business process, by module, etc., give you very powerful real-time actionable insights. So let's say we completed our UAT phase. I'm going to take this test that I just completed, and I'm going to say, how is the quality relevant for an automated test? See that Panaya in real time provided an assessment of the quality of this test. It says that we have very detailed T codes in this case, and we have a good enough evidence that we feel confident that we can easily convert this to an automated test. Let's go ahead and do that live. I'm going to convert to an automated test. I'm going to keep it outside the folder structure, but with the same place, because technically it's not a UAT asset. Let's go ahead and convert. So now we're going to use AI. And AI is, by the way, it's prevalent throughout our entire platform. And it enables you to enhance data within your tests. In this case, we're converting a test into an automated test. And you can see here that I created an automated test, and I'm just going to put AT in front in the prefix because that's an automated test. You'll notice that the icon is a little different. It did not save it into my UAT folder because technically it's not a manual user acceptance test. My automated test looks very similar. It has similar tabs, again, for history, comments, attachments, as many other tabs as well. Here's the script that was just built in real time. You'll notice the two sections for the two different T codes, all right? And this test is fully functional. Okay, I see I'm running out of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you briefly. I'm not going to go through the whole run of this test. I'm going to show you briefly how this works. And I'm going to show you how this will instantly correlate to test risk. And then because a significant amount of you are interested in test automation, I'm going to do a very quick recording of a web-based automated test, just a couple of steps, all right? And then I'm going to show the power of Panaya behind the scenes. You can see here, this is a fully functional test. And let's go ahead and I'm just going to add a breakpoint right here. You'll notice that Panaya tells you that it was converted. So you may have to change some stuff here. By the way, it automatically took my default SAP connection for me. And let's go ahead and play this. Okay, you'll notice that that SAP GUI is, if you notice, as the instructions go along on the right, one by one, you can see that the test is actually executing. This was created just a few seconds ago with the mouse click. Okay, now I can convert folders of files and cycles of files. That would be queued. It won't be instantly in real time, but you could see how the migration of manual to automated tests is done seamlessly and effortlessly within the product. Okay, another thing I want to show you is if I look at this automated test, we captured the entry points, the T codes that SAP used. And this is the way that this test will correlate to any correction we identify or any impacted entry point in a transport analysis. So if we're saying, oh, wait a minute, you're about to deploy an SAP transport and it touches one of these two T codes, well, here's an automated test that you can run. So why run the manual UAT that covers the same thing when I have an automated one instead? And so we can prioritize the use of automated regression in lieu of a manual UAT, and that significantly reduces resource bottlenecks from your manual testing teams who would rather be doing their regular job. Now, I was going to spend about 5 minutes in showing you a real-time example, but because the audience is more interested in test automation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into an automated test, and we'll just take, this is a Fiori, so this is a web, not SAP GUI. So we're doing a little bit of both today. Again, we're going to, now I have data sets, so I can potentially run this across multiple customer permutations. So I'm going to choose one. And again, because of lack of time, I am not going to run this entire test. What I'm going to do is I'm going to log in. I have some minor parameter calculations. I use AI. I use built-in functions, etc. But I'm going to get to after this continue button, and then we're going to add a breakpoint and stop. Now, Panaya's test automation is very modular. So in this case, I have a QA. I'll talk while I run. I have, hold on, let's see, take it to my thing. Okay, here's my component. I see what happened. Okay, I'm pointing to a component in a different project I don't have access to. So what I'm going to do is we'll hop into this test in this other project. And I know this one is going to work okay. Sorry about that. See, you talk about granular access control in action. You can actually run the Fiori sales order. Sorry. Notice it's the same test, just in a different project. Again, I'll add the breakpoint here. Notice how I can't edit because this project, we've enabled check-in and check-out. You also can enable compliance for multiple e-signatures before a test can be run and after, just to confirm that it was run correctly and the evidence is accurate. In this case, we're going to play. Again, it's launching a component. This is a reusable automation asset. In this case, I did it because my QA team changes the password every Saturday night. And I don't want my thousands of tests to fail. I just want to be able to edit one password in one place. And that way, all my tests will be fully functional as soon as that one edit is done. So in this case, you could see as my test is running, all right, it's adding data. It's going to click on buttons. We're going to go ahead and take our Fiori screen. Notice it went back to the parent test. It's running a few parameter calculations. In this case, it's using AI to calculate the birthday of a famous person. In my demo, I usually let the audience choose the name of the personality. Okay, and again, let's just stop here just to show you what we have to deal with. So if we go back to here, okay, you know what, let me just record one step just so you can see. I'm just going to click create purchase order. Okay, here is the create purchase order that I just created. All right, stop recording. Let's look at what I just did. If I'm a non-technical user and I click, you see the button that was highlighted in the screenshot that Panaya took? We automatically identified all of these potential locators for this control. So that means that if tomorrow your SAP developers or your UE developers change something behind the scenes and all of these were inactive or they didn't work, if I have AI self-healing built in, it will send the underlying object model to our AI engine, identify where that control is that I want to click, find a working locator and add it to my test. I call it perpetual self-healing. So as a non-technical person, I have a script of plain English that I easily to understand. And Panaya does just like in the manual test, we did all the evidence generation for you. Here we do all the heavy lifting behind the scenes. We call it no code test automation. And again, just a brief review of the work of the power of this platform. Okay, so let me go back and share the remaining few slides that we have. So to summarize, we provide a very easy to use unified platform, both manual, automated testing for defect management, requirements management, whether you're using us for manual, automated testing, or both. We have very powerful tools that will reduce the time, reduce the effort, will enable your non-technical people to run and build and test effectively. We automatically will correlate both manual and automated tests to your objects, custom, standard, and third party. So if they're highlighted within our risk analysis capabilities, you'll know exactly what tests need to be run. Going back to Greenfield as an example, right? If you are making changes, we will then correlate it to those change components, and we will tell you which of your critical business processes require remediation. Because if you're changing something, you need to maybe build those tests from scratch. So not only the process, but the tests themselves. We gave an example of accelerated manual testing. I briefly showed you some test automation resilience, and we did talk through the risk analysis that we do provide. So with that, I do feel that I've given you a nice little brief intro to the power of our platform. And again, as I said before, this is a tool, and your Impact QA partner will leverage this tool to further accelerate and de-risk your initiative.
That's great.
So now with the time we have left, we'll take some questions.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Scott and Sachin, for the insight. So moving forward, first, where the very first question is for a brownfield conversion, how do you migrate thousands of existing test cases without rekeying everything manually?
So I think we between the session itself when existing tests. So Panaya had inbuilt capability to convert the tests and customization possible challenges, difficult details, which are better. We do have we do have options. So we have done the next question of is how do you measure where or substance like this? I'll take up this right. So we normally have that three outcomes during your preparation. We track it across both areas. One is your testing efficiency, cycle time, effort reduction, and so you can really evaluate who or the design partner is giving you that your cycle time is getting reduced, your efforts are getting reduced. The second one is release velocity, how quickly you're able to turn back the third one is defect liquid production.
Sachin, sorry to interrupt. Your voice is a bit unclear.
Was it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, let me see.
So Pooja, maybe we go to another question.
Go ahead with the next question.
Yes, what applications are supported by Panaya testing?
Okay, so I see there was a similar question in the QA chat. So for manual testing, we support desktop, thick client applications of any type. I showed you in the test recorder, you could choose SAP GUI, you could choose web, which would count for any web application, as well as other, which would be used for any other desktop application. Truth is, the SAP GUI environment provides a lot of metadata that we can extract to provide really high quality test evidence. All right, for test automation, we support all web applications, Fiori, etc. And for thick client, at this point, we only support SAP GUI for automated tests. Now, we do have capabilities to introspect files like PDFs. We can bring up a Excel file and extract data. We can even save data into a cell, but full automated testing, click this menu in Excel, do that in Excel. We can't. We use Excel interface to leverage that for, let's say, parameters for our automated testing script.
Then there is one more. How do you handle compliance, heavy or regulated environments, SOX, GXP, and similar within this frame?
Okay, great question.
Go ahead.
So from a technical perspective, I will say that we have an optional compliance package that bolts onto our platform. And so any test, whether manual or automated, would therefore have to undergo a series of reviews. And a review could be one or multiple signatures. It depends on the the regulatory requirements of that specific process. So you can opt to take a test cycle and make it regulated. You can also have non-regulated test cycles in your same environment. But for the regulated ones, it then requires that every test have one-to-many, and you get to configure one-to-many e-signatures for a test to be ready. Remember, I showed you ready to test, okay? If you don't have them completed and they're not ready, you click a link, it'll say that the review process has not been complete. Subsequently, when a test executes, if it's a manual test, each step has its own evidence, and each step would get its own signature, one-to-many, as well as an automated test. After it completes, you would also be able to review the results and confirm. That's just the tip of pardon the pun, a tip of an iceberg for compliance capabilities. We also can restrict data and exporting access for cycles as well. But again, this is tooling, okay? In terms of how you would better structure, your Impact QA team could structure your projects effectively, structure your cycles effectively, make sure only like there's tight access control in certain areas, etc. We have very granular permissions and roles. They're all fully customizable. So again, those additional restrictions can be layered on to the out-of-the-box features.
Yes, and which I spoke about the solutions for the business assurance pillar, and there we ensure all our SOX, GXP, and similar compliances as the client engagement. So every client will SOX compliance requirement. We ensure our business assurance. As part of audit, to mention Panaya automatically captures the audit trails and the logs in test management right. So that gives a clear audit clearance, evidence screenshots, wicket logging, all are being separated with audit clearance there.
Okay, so last question, is it answered? Sachin, could you please advise on the recommended approach for using Panaya during the S/4HANA version upgrade, including any capabilities, best practices, or steps we should consider for impact analysis, test and planning? Start.
That sounds like an invitation for a fully paid engagement, but again, I don't know if that could be answered really quickly. But the bottom line is, this is where, and I'm speaking for Impact QA, is where they come to play. They will meet with you, understand what you want to get done, how you want it to get done, what migration strategy. They'll help you determine the proper or appropriate migration strategy. They'll look at your existing best practices in QA, understand how you structure tests, how we can bring things over. Again, that's an assessment that's a lot of detail. But the shorter answer is that's why we're in business. We're in business to help accelerate and de-risk these critical initiatives. And again, with the domain expertise of Impact QA and a really cool product, a powerful like Panaya, again, the best of both worlds.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for taking us.
Yes, yeah, your voice is still breaking a lot, scatching. So can we go to last slide as well, Sachin? So I would like to call out for today. Thank you, Stott and Sachin, for the valuable insights. And I would like to thank all the attendees for joining us today live. We hope today's insights help you accelerate your SAP transformation with greater confidence, lower risk, and AI-powered quality engineering. If you would like to explore how Impact QA and Panaya can support your SAP journey, we would be happy to continue the conversation. Maybe you can contact us through our mail, or you can scan the QR codes that are there on the screen, visible on the screen. And yes, I have shared the email IDs in the chat in the Q&A section as well. If you want to connect us and wants to have a consultation, or still some pending queries are left within you, or they may drop after the webinar as well, you can contact us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.